Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to my video. Alright, so today we are going to talk about the drive cycle. If you, for whatever reason, have cleared the check engine light from your car's computer, or have cleared all the fault codes from your car's computer, and you guys are getting the car inspected, definitely you're going to need to pretty much complete a drive cycle so that it is inspection ready. So basically the drive cycle is used by the car's control module, ECU, the ECU, to determine whether an emission system repair was performed successfully, but not whether it's been performed successfully, but whether all the monitors is completed and are working the way they're supposed to work. So pretty much that cycle pretty much duplicates the scenario of a person starting the car and making short freeway trips, as if you're driving to work. While the drive cycle is going, the engine computer runs a series of tests or readiness test to see if the emission system is working correctly. So basically, when a vehicle has a emission system problem, it almost always triggers the check engine light or the service engine soon light. This pretty much signals that the emission system problem and fault code has been recorded in the car's computer. The problem indicated by fault code has to be accurately diagnosed and repaired, and not show up in the system. So if you guys have repaired the whatever it is that you guys need to repair, and the fault code has been cleared, what the PCM does is it'll run a series of self-tests to determine whether or not the repair was done correctly and where the monitors are working properly. So this process was designed to prevent the vehicle from slipping through the emissions test with any issues. Prior to 1996, a common tactic was to turn off the check engine light by clearing the code just before an emissions test without performing the proper repair. The drive cycle and emissions readiness monitors have, for the most part, unfortunately, you can't actually do that anymore. As far as since 1996, if you were in 1996, you could have just cleared it and then just taken it to emissions, but they've actually changed that since. So here's how to perform the drive cycle. All right, guys. Basically, you're gonna want to have your fuel tank between 30 and 70% full. Some systems, especially the evac system, need to have a specified level of fuel in order for the test to be done. If the fuel tank is near empty or completely full, many of the basic tests will not run at all. Alright, so your car also needs to have a good alternator and a strong battery. If you have to occasionally jump start your vehicle off the memory of the powertrain module, it will be erased, which includes the data that tracks the results from various stages of the drive cycle. Also, if the battery is weak and undercharged, some of the most important tests won't run at all. Your car must sit overnight or for at least 8 hours in an environment that is less than 90 degrees. If the engine temperature needs to match the air temperature in order to the engine temperature needs to match the air temperature in order to establish an accurate baseline for the testing. If the outside temperature is over 90 degrees, the fuel is too volatile and the evap system won't even try to run its test, though some other emission systems may run their tests. Alright, so the key must be out of the ignition and all of the doors must be closed while the vehicle sits overnight, because many of the onboard computers boot up when the keys are in the ignition. Also, many of the onboard computers still run until all the doors are closed after the vehicle is shut off and the keys are removed. So for the most part, guys, you guys can pretty much just probably the best time to do it would be early in the morning, pretty much, because if you guys are doing this in the summer, chances are a lot of people actually don't have garages and don't put their cars in the garages, and it gets hot real quick sometimes in the summer during the day. But anyway, just letting your car sit overnight regularly would be good as far as that's concerned. So basically, what you're gonna do is you're gonna start the vehicle and you're gonna let it idle for 2 or 3 minutes in park or neutral. So while it is idling, turn on the headlights, a heated defroster and rear defroster for about 3 to 5 minute warm up phase. Let the idle speed settle down to near the normal speed. Next, you're going to put the vehicle in gear and drive through city streets at about 25 miles per hour. Go up to about 35 to 40 miles per hour a few times before slowing down to stop. Don't roll down. Don't roll through the stop. Be sure the car is really stopped, just like you learn in, just like you would normally do. Accelerate from each stop in a normal fashion, not overly conservative, but like you are competing in a drag race, but not like you are competing in a drag race either. All right, so this next step is a short freeway trip. All right, after the vehicle has been cold started and driven for a few miles on city streets, the next step is to take it on a short freeway trip. Enter the freeway on ramp and allow enough room with respect to other vehicles so that you can do a 1/2 to 3/4 throttle acceleration up to freeway speeds. When you have accelerated up to about 60 miles per hour and have safely merged into the flow of traffic, stay in the slow lane and maintain a steady speed of about 55 to 60 miles per hour for a minimum of 5 miles. Please use the cruise control to help you maintain speed if you can. Find a nice long off ramp to exit from the freeway. As you exit, take your foot off the accelerator and let the vehicle coast down until it stops on its own power as you complete your exit from the freeway. Do not use the foot brake and do not shift gears until the very end of the coast down phase. All right, so the next part of the driving sequence is after you have completed the freeway trip, drive through the city streets for a repeat of the second part of step 2. Go up to about 35 to 40 miles per hour a few times and then maintain a stated speed of 25 miles per hour before slowing down to stop. Don't roll through the stop and make sure to accelerate normally. So what you guys want to do is you guys want to make a full stop, don't roll, and when you guys accelerate, just do it normally. Pull into the parking space and let the engine idle for 1 or 2 minutes and then shut it off. So after you guys do all this, as far as the driving cycle is concerned, what you're going to do, if you guys have an OBD2 scanner, and in this situation, I advise that you guys have an OBD2 scanner because you guys are going to want to check the monitors. All right, I believe you can only have you can have one monitor that hasn't cleared and still pass, but that's your only you can either have all the monitors cleared and pass, or you could have one monitor not cleared and pass. If you have more than 2 monitors not cleared or not completed, you will not pass. So and if you guys have whatever previous issue that caused your check engine light or fault code, if that actually comes back on, you would definitely not pass. So if you guys have an OBD2 scanner, definitely you're going to want to get an OBD2 scanner. They're about $20 at Walmart. Okay, get that OBD2 scanner, and once you finish the drive cycle, plug it in to see whether you complete it or not. If you haven't, just keep on driving. Just keep on driving, and once it's completed, because you have the OBD2 scanner to tell you. All right, guys. Hopefully this helped you guys out. Have any questions, please leave a question in the comment section. Please comment, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. All right, guys, take care.